MIA is a famous musician the world over. She exploded with her hit Paper Planes. She's known for her insane fashion, and now she's going to go down in history for this controversial new music video. And here's a warning for you. It's pretty graphic.
Let's move now!
Like I said, pretty graphic. Now, the song is called Born Free, and it was pulled from airing in the U.S. on YouTube. And MIA originally thought that was because of her record label, and she even tweeted about it, but then she ended up taking that back. So now the world is abuzz asking what this video really means. But perhaps the real point is that no matter what it is that you take from it, it's getting people thinking. And that music often does challenge the norms and bring us all back to reality through art. Who could forget these two very controversial videos from Pearl Jam and The Prodigy? Those were two older classics, like I said, but what do we have to say about today's video, about MIA? Here to discuss it with me, I have Georgetown University professor and author of the blog Nat Turner's Revenge, Christopher Chambers. Chris, thanks for coming back. It was just yesterday that I saw you last.
I know.
Tell me, this video of MIA's, like I said, it's very graphic. It's got a lot of people talking. What were your initial thoughts?
Well, I mean, it's not my cup of tea, but not my cup of tea doesn't mean it should be banned. I mean, that's a matter of personal preference and taste. She's a very famous artist. I mean, and she is not known for holding back. And this is something that I would expect. I mean, this is her version of art, and more power to her. She's not a revolutionary or filming porn or snuff films. This is art. This is a music video.
And do you think that she really hit on the subject? Because she herself is from Sri Lanka. She grew up amidst a genocide. And so many people are saying that this really represents what genocide looks like, what war looks like, what it means to conceptualize someone as the others. Do you think that it does a good job of that?
I think so. I mean, in her mind, it does. It's not my cup of tea, but a lot of people would identify with it. I mean, look at what has happened in Sri Lanka over the last 50 years with the Tamil Tigers. This woman has seen this stuff firsthand. And for us to sit in our living rooms or on our laptops and pass judgment on it, I mean, she has lived it. So she expresses it through her art. Artists speak through metaphors. This is just a big metaphor for the things that bug her and the things that she's seen in her childhood.
But I think what happens is people end up taking this much more seriously. Is they put a lot of responsibility on someone that creates a piece of art like this, because in essence you're saying that this really has the ability to influence people, and it really has the ability to educate people, and especially young people.
Right.
They connect more to musicians than they do to politicians or to their favorite news anchors, so this can really wake them up.
Oh, yeah, and you have to understand, I mean, a journalist named Mark Briggs wrote a book called Journalism 2.0, and there's a professor at Columbia named Sri Srinivasan who says that this type of social media is the new marketplace of ideas. They're both saying that. This is the newspapers of yesteryear. These are the broadcast TV of 40, 50 years ago. These are where these new battlegrounds about taste and art and culture are going to be fought. And this is where young people are congregating these days. So there has to be, you know, the First Amendment only applies to government action. It doesn't apply to what a private company like YouTube, which is owned by Google, does. So, you know, they have to really make an informed decision before they cut off an artist like this, who is, you know, I mean, she has a following, and young people like her. I might not like her, but young people do. Give her her voice, because what's going to happen is when one piece of social media gets shut, Look what happened. She goes on the other piece, Twitter, and blows it up. And now you're doing a story on it. So, I mean, it doesn't serve some social media outlets too well to stifle this kind of artistic content.
Well, yeah, you're right. Quite the opposite. It could bring more attention to it. But what's interesting to me is that YouTube banned it here in the U.S., but not around the rest of the world, which really has to make us question the way we cover things here in the U.S., because in many respects, when it comes to issues of war, to these graphic videos, we can say that our media coverage here is very tame, that they don't want to show you the images like it is. So do they leave an open space for things like this?
I think they do. I mean, an analogy can be drawn to Erykah Badu's recent video where she shot in Dealey Plaza where John F. Kennedy was killed, and she eventually is taking her clothes off. All people saw was the public nudity. She was making a statement about being different and about being hunted, about being persecuted. That's what this woman is doing, and look at her background in her native island. And using the orange-haired people, I mean, you know, that's something that...
The gingers.
The gingers. People are very sensitive about that. I think a lot of probably majority white Americans in this country would kind of get a little sensitive, because it hits a little too close to home. You know, I'm not in my family, but a lot of people have red-haired relatives, and you know, and that's a traditional kind of out group almost. I mean, a red-haired person. I mean, it's easy to use them as a metaphor for all kinds of people who are being persecuted, and you know, and that's art, and that's expression, and it gets its life in social media that it never seemed to got in TV over the last 50 years or on newspapers.
But here, very quickly, one of the critiques that I read about this was by using the gingers, the redheads, people that perhaps, yeah, you could say they stand out in society, but there's no real historical, cultural a background of them really truly being persecuted. And so many people would say that this oversimplifies perhaps the things that people in Sri Lanka have to live through, in Darfur. Do you think that's true?
I don't think so. I think this is her vision. And we're talking about art, we're talking about music, and the outlet through this new social media. That's the beauty of it. She probably engineered it that way so we talk about it. And we're talking about it. And I think that's wonderful. And that's why young people are drawn to it. They can see it, they can interact, and now you and I are talking about it.
And I think people are going to continue talking about it as well. Chris, thanks so much for being here. MIA's new graphic and very controversial music video. It's called Born Free, and I guarantee you people will be talking about it for a long time.